Okay, so this is our tulip. So I normally prefer to do it with a little bit of outline. I usually use an edible pen, but not everybody has it, so you can just use a toothpick to kind of draw a little bit of distinction so that you know how to separate the colors. So I always start with the middle. Sometimes I'll give it a white. As you can see, I always outline first, and then I go in and I fill and flood. It's called flooding basically when you release a lot more icing to in the center, but you're making sure you're following the rule from inside to the outside. So I always do the center first. Sometimes it really depends what you feel like doing. If you feel like there is a little bit more room in the edges, and if you haven't touched the edge, you can always use a toothpick to sort of guide it. We call this a scribe tool in our world. And then you can pick a different color. So I'm gonna do maybe a yellow. Whenever I'm doing the outline, again, as you can see, I do not touch my cookie. I try to lift it. The icing is made in such a way that it gives you a lot of stretch, and it allows you to be able to lift your cookie. If you touch your cookie while you're outlining, you're going to get a very shaky and wobbly outline. And so the only time I touch the cookie is when I'm flooding it and I'm allowing a lot more icing to come out of my bag. And I'm doing that by putting a lot more pressure, and I stay very close to my cookie. If I have any gaps, I can go back in with my piping bag, but essentially the flooding consistency allows you to be able to just tap it and it fills in. Okay, and I'm going to do the last one, and I will need to cut my bag, get rid of that. And you can do whatever feels right and comfortable. So I'm going to do this. Oopsie. Sometimes you'll have a little bit of air, and if it pops out, it might break your line, but that's okay. It's usually nothing too unfixable. Now I'm doing this without letting the steps dry, but if you really wanted a lot more distinction between your petals, you can let it rest and then go back to it, and so you'll see a very definite distinction. Okay, there you go. There's usually a few steps to this. That's why cookie decorating is requires a lot of patience, and definitely don't touch your cookie. So if I'm seeing any gaps here, I can always go back with my toothpick and clean it up. For the most part, we are good. We'll have a little green icing for the leaf, but that's your tulip.